COVID-19 pandemic here in Erie County. We have 6 new cases of COVID-19 to report in Erie County as of 12:01 a.m. for a total of 478 cumulative positive cases since the pandemic began here. We currently have 317 recovered cases and 152 active cases. Of the cumulative cases in Erie County, 55% are female and 45% are male. The breakdown regarding age is 3% in the 0 to 4 years, 1% 5 to 9 years, 6% are ages 10 to 18 years, 14% are 19 to 24, 44% are ages 25 to 49, 22% are ages 50 to 64, and 10% are ages 65 and older. Please note that sometimes the percentage values don't add up to 100 as we do round. Regarding race and ethnicity of our total cases, 50% are white residents, 35% are African American or Black residents, 5% are Asian residents, and 2% are multiracial residents, with 2% other and 5% unknown. Regarding Hispanic origin within the total, 11% are Hispanic of any race, and 81% are not Hispanic, and 8% are unknown. This morning, we have also added to our website under the COVID-19 resources the list of public testing sites under that Community Health Interest page at eriecountypa.gov. This list includes Mill Creek Township Urgent Care, Rite Aid, 2 of our Walmarts, CVS, and along with their addresses, their websites, and that will give you also the times that you can go for testing at those locations. Now, I would like to address an issue that's been brought to our attention. Apparently, there are some Erie County Department of Health imposters, people claiming to be health department workers that have entered some of our businesses in Erie County. Please know that any official health department employee inspector would be clearly identified. They would be wearing either or possibly both a health department shirt and ball cap, and also will always have a county-issued photo ID with their photo on it. So any business owner that is concerned about suspicious activity when it comes to health department inspectors, please ask to see the credentials, which the inspector should be showing you anyway. And that takes us to today's star player when it comes to businesses doing the right thing and really helping in this COVID pandemic. And I want to recognize Brazieri Deary out on West 26th Street in Mill Creek. They, as you walk in, ask you to sign in with your contact information, as well as fill out a questionnaire regarding how you're feeling and if you've had contact or been exposed to COVID-19. So they ask everyone to fill in that 1-page questionnaire. You can also shop there by appointment. They have X marks on the floor to tell you where to stand, as well as sneeze guards, and they really are doing everything they can to try to stop the spread of COVID-19 within their business. So I want to thank them and all our businesses and residents who are just working so diligently to follow the guidelines for safe operations. Also, our environmental team is working with all of our school districts as they come forward with their plans to open up school in the fall. They've asked the Erie County Department of Health to advise them on those plans, and working with the CDC guidelines and information from the Pennsylvania Department of Education, our team is helping them with training of their pandemic safety officers as well as their school nurses. And so I want you to know that we are working diligently. I mean, that those at the Department of Health are working diligently with our school districts to try to make sure that they have the safest opening they can for our students when they return in the fall. As always, I want to remind you to keep a 6-foot distance from those who do not live with you in your home. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Sanitize those surfaces regularly, particularly those ones that are high-touch areas. And wear a mask whenever you go outside, away from your home, and you're with people that don't live with you in your home. There is more and more research showing that wearing masks, all of us wearing masks, really will help to control this pandemic. It's always been said that my mask protects you, your mask protects me, and there's even further research that supports that. So now I would like to welcome with me the Director of Erie County's Department of Public Health, Melissa Lyons, to give us an update from the Health Department directly. Melissa?
Good morning, and thank you, County Executive. This morning, I really just wanted to give a short update around staffing in Erie County Department of Health. We had job postings up to hire contact tracers. We were planning to hire 18. Our first 6 have received their training. They've gone through their shadowing with an experienced public health nurse, and they are now doing contact tracing independently for us. We have the additional 6 that have started their training this morning. And the job posting was to be taken down yesterday, which would indicate we have plenty of applications and qualified applicants to hire the last 6 for the upcoming 2 weeks. In addition, we have 2 new call takers that have started, and they are receiving their training. So that allows us to put the employees that were currently taking calls back into their typical job, and that would be around environmental health and or health education. So we're looking very good moving forward with contact tracing and being able to follow up with all of the new cases we're receiving and boxing in what we call the disease so that we can stop the spread. And I really want to take a moment to publicly thank Gannon University for helping us identify space on their campus that they are allowing our contact tracers to be working out of. That should be finalized in the coming weeks, which really was beneficial because with social distancing, our space has become a premium here at the Erie County Department of Health. That's all I have for today, and I will send it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Lyon, and thank you again to you and your team for all you continue to do to work through this pandemic, which we know is a lot of hard work, a lot of effort, but they have the skills and the knowledge to really do the job well, as we've seen for the past months. And now I'm going to open it up to the media for questions, and we'll start with the Erie Times News today.
Hi, Kathy. This is Maddie O'Neill speaking. It's our understanding from Facebook that Girard Township has voted to enter the green phase. I was hoping you could give a reaction to that.
Well, from my understanding, having talked to my own solicitor and looking at state law and as well as municipal law, that neither the county nor any municipality really has the ability to override the state when it comes to this pandemic and the emergency order that we're under.
So what does that mean in terms of if businesses in Girard Township choose to proceed as if we're in the green phase? Should they expect to see some sort of enforcement action by the county?
So most of these businesses are under state law, depending on their licensure. What we are doing at the Erie County Department of Health is doing what's under our wheelhouse, and that's inspecting restaurants. And if we find a restaurant under the yellow phase who's actually seating people inside, then we note that on their inspection report that then are filed with the state. But it is something that I think every business owner, as I said last week and other weeks, should be very cautious about. They should definitely seek their legal counsel on this regarding any potential liability they might have with the state and also their insurance company. Because we know that if there was something would happen on your business property and you were not following the yellow phase guidelines that the state has put in place right now, you could potentially find yourself uninsured by your insurance carrier. So I just plead with all businesses, first of all, we should follow the mandates that we are under for the yellow phase. And if you decide to do something different, you should definitely seek legal counsel before you do that. Talk Erie.
Thank you.
Sure, Maddie. Talk Erie.
Yes, hi, Kathy. It's Joel Natali. Thanks for calling on me. I wondered if you had any clarification, or maybe Melissa might have clarification on the metric to allow us to go from yellow to green? For example, what date is the state taking that snapshot? Will there be any consideration now that our cases are kind of falling off in the last few days? Can you talk about maybe the decision making that you're anticipating for yellow to green for tomorrow, for Friday, I guess?
I'm going to turn that over to Director Lyon to have her start that conversation.
Thank you, County Executive, and thank you, Joel, for the question. I have not had conversation with any state health department representatives this week. Typically, they're looking at the 2 previous weeks to the one we're currently in. So 2 weeks previous to this week are typically the numbers that they are looking at, to my understanding. I've been asking for them to send that to me on a Thursday. I will do that same thing this week. The numbers being smaller over the past few days is very encouraging. It also reinforces my earlier statement that we're boxing in disease, we're getting people quarantined and isolated appropriately, and it's working, and that's always encouraging when you see those numbers. So if those numbers continue in that same trend, I am hopeful that the state will make a decision that's favorable for Erie County. I'll hand it back to you.
Just a quick follow-up. Do you have any anticipation if they're only looking at the percentage of increase vis-a-vis the actual case count of increase? Of course, all the comparisons this weekend to Dauphin County show that Dauphin has much more COVID, even active now, yet they're going green in 2 days.
Thank you. I'm not in a position to compare Dauphin County to Erie County, to be honest with you. But what does also factor into decision making is positivity rates, and that's a percentage, which that makes the adjustment for increased testing. And we have seen our positivity rate decreasing, which is beneficial in the trend that we need to see for Erie County.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Jet TV.
Yeah, hi, Kathy. It's Samir. I apologize. I'm having a little hard time hearing you over this speaker. But what would you say, I guess, the likelihood of Erie County going green in the near future would be, I guess, with the governor's next phase or next batch of counties moving forward?
Well, I'm hopeful. I'm always hopeful. You know me, I'm an optimist. And I am very, very pleased to see the numbers dropping the way that we're seeing them in the last days here that we've been reporting. As Director Lyon talked about, we've got a lot more resources in place in terms of our contact tracers, our new call takers. These were things we didn't have in place a couple weeks ago when we were seeing very, very large numbers. So I believe, again, that we should go green. I've been believing this for a few weeks, but I even believe it more now because our numbers seem to be decreasing. We are certainly getting to that positive case more quickly, getting the contacted more quickly, and getting people, in isolation and in quarantine, and that's how we help to stop the spread. So we're doing, we've always been doing a good job with it, but it got quite difficult when the numbers really started increasing dramatically until we got on the new staff that we've recently hired and now trained up, and now more staff coming on. So I think with all of that said, I'm hopeful, but of course none of us have that crystal ball we've talked about for months here, and I think this community is so ready to go to green. We know that people are traveling outside of this community to get all sorts of services done. We know many people are traveling into our community to come here for our beaches and the other beautiful things of our community that are so popular in the summertime. So with all that, I hope that the governor and the Secretary of Health collectively with their teams decide that Erie County should also follow others and go green.
And then just to follow up, do you feel that, I guess, community members, residents are starting to follow those guidelines a little better now since we aren't in the green phase yet? Or I guess what I'm getting at is still a lack of newer cases.
I think it's actually a combination, but I think a lot of it is honestly us just as Director Lyons talked about, kind of boxing in the disease. That's what we need to do. We need to find the positive people. We need to get them isolated, and we need to get their contacts quarantined. And the more we can do that, the better we'll be at controlling and containing this disease. But we also need people not to move around as much as they are. And that's happening. People are coming here. People from here are going elsewhere. And that gets concerning, too.
Thank you.
Erie News Now.
Hi there, Kathy. John Leidig with you again this morning. Thanks for your time. Following up on the Girard Township voting to go green, are you concerned this may set a standard for other county or other townships, rather, or municipalities within Erie County to go green, and may that affect going forward us going to green if the state is seeing more and more townships going forward with green before they're given the okay? So
I don't think that the state is making their decision based on, what one borough or one township decides to do within the county. So I think they really are looking at science, they're looking at data, and so I think that will be what they determine. That's what they will use to determine, not what some political entity decides to do. Okay.
I guess then, just to clarify maybe more, are you concerned that now that Girard may be doing this, are you concerned more that other municipalities may follow suit moving forward, seeing that they've done that, and if that works?
Well, they can do that, but legally they can't really change what the state has decided for us. So that's my understanding from my solicitor, because I looked at this even from Erie County standpoint when we didn't go green, when I think so many of us felt we should have gone green. So again, I can't speak to the Girard Borough and what their solicitor has told them, but I can just tell you what my solicitor has told me. And I think, again, it doesn't change the fact. It doesn't change the fact that Erie County is in yellow, and we need to follow the yellow guidelines until we are moved to green.
Thank you.
Erie Times News. Maddie.
Hi, Kathy. Sort of along the same lines, we were aware of over the weekend the Erie Speedway had a gathering, had an event. The media was not allowed in, so we don't really know the size of the crowd, but our understanding was that it could have been quite a few people. Do you have any response to, what such a large gathering, what sort of impact that could have on the community?
Well, I will tell you that the Erie County Department of Health, did get word of that and followed up with the management, ownership. I'm not sure who exactly they talked to at Erie Speedway, but they did speak with them about this. We were told that they did hand out masks to every person entering, but it is a very much of a concern. Anytime there's a large gathering, that's not actually allowed under yellow, for one thing. And so we have contacted them, tried to address it, and we'll see where things go this weekend.
Thank you.
Talk Erie?
Yes, hi, Kathy. I didn't know if you or Melissa had any data on the 8 or 9 deaths, particularly looking at demographic information.
I'll let Melissa speak to the deaths.
Yeah, thank you. The number of deaths gets reported through what's called the death registry program, and the demographics would reside there. I don't have them at my fingertips. I can anecdotally tell you that the age range is primarily higher than 60, though that's not the case for all of them. But again, I don't have those details at my fingertips, so I apologize for that.
Do you know if they were primarily residents of the city zip codes as opposed to county zip codes, or maybe is that knowable?
I do not know that information.
Okay, thank you.
Jet TV.
Just one question, Kathy. So I guess with businesses, restaurants specifically, announcing day by day, we see more and more opening, or at least businesses, organizations that are not supposed to open under the yellow phase doing so. I guess what is the county's reaction to that?
Well, again, we encourage all businesses to follow the guidelines in the yellow phase. As much as I might believe and others might feel we should be in the green phase, we do have to follow our state, who is leading this pandemic effort. And I will say, when you look at Pennsylvania compared to a number of other states, we've actually done pretty well here because I think we've had a very proactive governor and Department of Health throughout this. But, again, I believe we should go green, but we're in yellow. And we're going to follow the yellow guidelines until we get moved to green. And I've said that, from the beginning, as much as I might be frustrated and disappointed, we have to follow that until we get to green. And I just keep on asking the public to help us, which I know many are, by wearing their masks, by trying to keep social distance, by not gathering in large groups. And then the health department, with more resources, can help control those positive cases we do find in terms of their context. So we're going to continue to do that, but I advise any business that might want to open beyond what they are allowed to in these guidelines to truly speak to their legal counsel before they do that. Erie News Now.
Kathy, a question for you following up on the what you said in your opening statement about the Erie County imposters. Can you share what maybe these imposters or what your office has been told what they're doing, and is there any safety concerns with some of these people coming into the businesses that aren't with the Erie County Department of Health?
I don't know that there's safety concerns, but obviously when someone comes in and they say they're from the Department of Health to a business, a business owner might have some concerns, and especially if they tell them they need to do certain things. So we just want business owners to understand that we have had a couple of reports of people trying to impersonate a health department worker, inspector, and we want them to be aware and know that they should, just like you would for anyone coming to your home to do work or coming into your business to do work, ask them for their ID, ask them for the badge that says Erie County Department of Health, has their picture on it that matches their face, and then you'll know that you're definitely dealing with a health inspector. So it's just an awareness thing.
One quick question in terms of the business on a follow-up maybe. MCafe, we're getting reports talking about closing their doors. I know you said at the onset of this pandemic that we're going to see businesses close down, but what are your messages as more and more businesses continue to see their doors close after years within this community?
Obviously, we don't want to see any of our businesses close, and we're trying to do all we can to help these businesses stay open. We need to get to green for those businesses, and we need to do it safely. We have a number of programs that we've tried to help businesses with. Of course, on a federal level, there was the PPP program, and we did give loans out through the Erie County Redevelopment Authority. They were basically no interest loans. Now with the 24 plus million in CARES Act funding that the county will be receiving next month, part of that will go to our businesses that are 100 employees or less that did not get PPP. They can apply for some funding from the county as we are putting that program together. So we're all trying to help as we can, but we know that not all businesses are going to survive this. The other piece on this, I ask everyone to shop local, buy local as much as you can. Keep your money in Erie County. Take out orders from restaurants will help. Stopping by your local store to buy something versus getting it online will help that business. And so if we ever needed to shop local, now is the time to do that, to help our businesses survive this.
Thank you.
Sure. Erie Times News, do you have any last question, Maddie?
Yeah, Kathy, and I'm sorry, before I ask my question, I want to correct what I said earlier. I misspoke. It is not Girard Township that voted to go into green. It is Girard Borough. I apologize. Apparently the township is already getting calls about that, so I apologize. I misspoke.
It's definitely Girard Borough. You're right.
Yes, sorry about that. Just wanted to make sure I said it on the feed. But anyway, it does. The county said yesterday that it looks like we're up to 9 deaths at this point from COVID-19. Do you know the age groups of the people who have passed away?
I think that question was just asked, and maybe you weren't able to hear it. Director Lyons said she doesn't have that those stats at her fingertips in terms of the ages.
Okay, so sorry. I must have missed that. Thank you.
That's okay. Sure, Maddie. Talk Erie, do you have any last question?
Yes, Kathy, this one's for you. Any reaction to Senator Dan Laughlin's right to know requests of both the county and the health department, as well as for the state health department and the governor's office?
Well, it was just a little bit of a surprise to me because I've spoken to Senator Laughlin a number of times throughout this pandemic, and we actually signed a letter together with the entire state delegation, myself and the mayor of both Corey and Erie, to the state saying we should go green. So I'm not sure what the reason is behind the right to know request, but as always, the county is transparent. We are pulling together the information he's requested, and we hope to be able to do that within a week's time. If not, we'll have to ask for an extension. It just depends on how quickly we can do it. And my only concern is that the resources that should be on fighting COVID-19 in the health department, because there's records being asked from them, some of that staff will have to be diverted to filling out this right to know request, to fulfilling the right to know request. So that's the only, I guess, negative, is that precious staff time is being diverted when it should be fully focused on fighting COVID-19.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Jet TV, do you have any final question?
I do not. Thanks.
Thanks, Samir. And Erie News Now, any final question?
Yeah, two quick ones, Kathy. One for you, one for Melissa. I guess just yesterday with the a resolution for impeachment of the governor, kind of your reaction to that news and what it would say currently about how people are feeling.
I think it's just political posturing.
And then I guess for this one's for Melissa, just in terms of the tracers, I know she said that they're closing out the job openings. Has the case management been able to even itself out, and is the state health department at this point feel that there's an adequate number of tracers in Erie County and that they're doing what they can?
Thank you. I've received confirmation from the state health department's epidemiology team that they are very pleased with our process of contact tracing and isolating and quarantining those cases. So my response to you would be they are pleased with where we are in staffing based upon the case numbers that we're seeing.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today. Thank you to our media for being such great partners throughout this pandemic. I did want to end today with the weekly reminder about the 2020 census. As we know, a lot of the funding that's coming into Erie County to fight the current pandemic is based on the census numbers that Erie County has from 10 years ago. So we want to make sure we get a complete count in 2020 here, so that going forward, whether it's a pandemic or any other project or item that is tied to our population when it comes to funding, that we get all the funding that our community needs and deserves because of the numbers we have. So remember to respond at my2020census.gov. You can do it also by mail or calling 844-330-2020. Currently, the response numbers for the county as a whole are 69% of households have responded. Within the city of Erie, which is also part of the county, but I report it separately because they have historically been a lower count community, 60% in the city of the households have responded. So still plenty of people out there who haven't responded to the census. I ask you please to do that and to do it soon. And so finally, as always, stay at home or as close to home as you can. Stay safe, wear your mask, keep your social distance while you're out there, and always please remember to stay calm. Thank you.